Hello chess enthusiasts, my name is Miha and welcome to my Chess Realm YouTube channel. If you're following chess events, you probably came across a Romanian league. There were several teams consisting of 6 players, and I found a very interesting game from the 6th round between Gergely Szabo and Alexandru Manea. So let's see what happened in the game. Gergely Szabo had white pieces and he started with e4, c5, knight to f3, e6, and we have this e6 variation of the Sicilian defense. White plays d4, c captures on d4, knight captures, knight to c6, knight to f3, and we have the so-called Taimano variation of the Sicilian defense. And black plays queen to c7. Now white plays queen to d3, and after knight to f6, now white plays knight from d goes to b5, attacking queen on c7. Well, black has to be careful. If queen goes to d8, black loses control over f4 square, and after bishop to f4, white is threatening with knight to c7, forking both the king and the rook, and this is very bad for black, if not totally lost almost already in the beginning of the game. So black has to play queen to b8, keeping control on the f4 square, and now white plays queen to g3, offering trade of queens. Again, if queen captures, h-pawn recaptures, white is still threatening a knight to c7. So here black would have to prevent this by playing knight to d8, therefore losing right to castle, and black is worse off already in the beginning. So in the game, black plays d6, interfering this diagonal, and now white plays bishop to e3, protecting d4 square, preparing the return of knight, because black plays a6, and now knight goes back to d4, queen goes to c7, and now white castles queenside. And now black plays h5, preparing h4, harassing the white queen. So white plays f3, creating this little escape hatch on f2. And now black decides to trade some pieces, so knight captures on d4. Well, white can recapture either with rook or bishop. If white captures with bishop, then after e5, bishop goes back, and probably black develops further. But in the game, black captures with rook. Well, here is an interesting combination. If black plays e5, then rook to c4 is a very interesting combination, attacking the queen. If black removes the queen to d7, then bishop to b6, preparing the invasion of the rook on the 7th rank. If, however, queen goes to d8, then queen to f2, double attack on b6 square, again preparing the invasion of rook. Not that this is a winning position for white, just probably black doesn't feel like playing this. So in the game, black plays b5, protecting this c4 square. So now white develops further, bishop goes to e2, bishop goes to b7, now rook from h goes to d1, and rook to c8. So white has occupied d file, and black has occupied c file, of course threatening with mate. Once he gets rid of this knight on c3, of course black cannot simply play b4 because it's protected by the rook. But anyway, white plays rook from the first rank goes to d2, protecting this c2 square just in any case. And maybe one of the options for black would be playing d5, opening diagonals for his dark square bishop, and also get his light square bishop into the game, since black has a very solid position. But in the game, black plays queen to a5, targeting this pawn on a2, who is protected by the knight. So yeah, the idea is to play b4, driving this defender of a2 pawn away. But here, white makes a spectacular exchange, offers exchange sacrifice, rook goes to d6. Well, first of all, if bishop captures on d6, then rook goes to d6. One of the things is queen is attacking defenseless pawn on b7. Moreover, bishop to b6 trying to trap the queen is another threat. So if black captures, then we have bishop to b6 after queen to b4, then a3, and black queen is trapped. Now b4 doesn't help, still we have bishop to b6 again, queen doesn't have anywhere to go. And if black tries with rook to c6, interfering the sixth rank, then white simply captures after bishop to c6, then queen to d6 after black removes the bishop. Then again we have bishop to b6, again trapping the black queen. And of course if black plays bishop to d6, white simply captures pawn on g7 and is much better. So in the game black plays h4, attacking queen on g3. Well, white has to be careful. If white slips and plays queen to f2, yeah, now black can capture, because if white recaptures with rook, then black can play b4, attacking knight on f3, and queen can then escape either on e5 or maybe even h5. So here in this position white would have to play bishop to b6 immediately, but then again black can save himself by playing bishop to c5, attacking the queen. So after bishop captures, then we have b4 attacking knight, and also double attack on the bishop on c5. So after bishop to b6, then maybe queen to e5. After white removes this knight, then position is roughly equal, or as we say, muddy waters, very unclear, so it's hard to predict how the game would play on for here. But anyway, this was the escape plan for black. In the game, however, white doesn't remove the queen. Here white makes a stunning move, rook captures on e6 check. And of course black cannot protect with bishop, because rook captures, king captures, then queen to d6 check, after king to e8, then bishop to b6, and again queen is trapped. So in the game black has no other option but to capture on e6, and now queen to g6 check, king can only go to e7, and now e5, attacking this knight on f6, preparing bishop to g5, further putting pressure on the king. Of course queen protects this to square, and rook covers the d file, so white is creating a mating net now. So black has decided to play b4. First of all, attacking knight on c3, but most important, trying to grab this pawn on e5, who is really bothering him. And now white makes another spectacular move, bishop to b5, interference. Now queen can only capture bishop on b5, who happens to be protected. Well, let's see. Black tries with rook to d8, parrying this white rook on d2. Then yeah, white simply plays bishop to g5. If rook captures, then we have queen to e8 checkmate. If, however, black captures bishop on b5, then we have again bishop to g5. If black makes a random move, then pawn captures, bishop captures, this checkmate. If, however, black tries to block the file with bishop to d5, then simply knight captures. After pawn captures, then we have pawn captures on f6, pawn recaptures, queen to f6, attacking king and rook. So here white is already winning. Maybe after king d7, then queen f7, king c6, then queen to d5, and now king can only go to c7 or b6, doesn't matter. For example, king to c7 and bishop to d8, attacking the queen and later grabbing attacking the king and later grabbing the queen. So in the game, black plays bishop to d5 immediately, blocking this d file. And now, of course, knight captures on d5 check. Well, if black captures with knight, then we have bishop to g5. After knight to f6, then we have rook to d7 checkmate. So black plays e captures on d5, and now pawn captures on f6, pawn recaptures, and now bishop to c5 check. King can go either to e6 or d8, or maybe rook can capture. Those are the options. If king goes to e6, rook to e2, checkmate. If king goes to d8, then queen to e8, king to c7, queen to d7, king to b8, and queen to a7, checkmate. So in the game, black captures bishop, and now we have mate in a couple of moves. Queen goes to e8, check, king to d6, queen to d7, check, king to e5, and now rook to e2, check. If king goes to f4, then queen to g4, checkmate. If, however, king goes to d4, then rook to e4, checkmate. And realizing this, in this position, Alexandru Manea resigned the game. So I hope you like this game and that you have learned something from it. If you have any questions, my email is below in the description. Of course, I invite you to visit my Instagram page. That's it for now, and see you soon.